We are the Deplorables.
We are the Deplorables.
We are the Deplorables.
We are the Deplorables.
Drastic times require what? Drastic measures, yes! Who said that?
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
You guys should be in every major city.
Okay, so we're live at Deplorables South Central, and we spent a day on the Deplorables range doing some runs through the qualifying course. So, Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about the purpose behind the qualifying course? I think somebody referred to it a minute ago as a kitchen sink drill.
Yeah, that's how I would describe it. It's not so much about qualifying like a go, no go criteria, but it's something that tests a lot of different skills and aspects of what we train in individual drills. And so we try to mash it all together and then get better and better at it and set higher and higher bars. We see ourselves getting more proficient at the overall execution of all of those different skills. And so it catches a lot of different things. Then what are some of the things that we touch on in the course?
Well, it's one of the main things is muzzle awareness and safety. That's one of the main things that we're looking for. But as far as what the drill seeks to encompass is, like you said, all the things that you would encounter in a live scenario. So, for instance, the very first part is just getting out of the car. That's obviously, it sounds super simple, but you put a full-size man in a Honda Civic in full kit, getting out of the car, how are you going to do that? You know, things get in the way, kit's going to make you a little bit bigger. So, basic proficiency in all the stuff and things that revolve around tactical shooting.
Yeah, it's not so easy when you got a bunch of stuff hanging off of you to get in and out of the car. We've had guys snag guns, lose guns, especially if you do it with a rifle, which we didn't do today. But the more you have to get out of that car, the more difficult it becomes.
Yep, and we're working into it. We're doing forced reloads on pistol, forced reloads on rifle that are at an unknown interval. So we start with an unknown number of rounds in a couple of different mags. Mixed in there also is a dummy round for a rifle, so we're working clearing malfunctions sometime. We're trying to use cover all of the time. We're trying to be fast when you can be fast and then focus in and make good hits when you have to make good hits. So it catches a lot of stuff that we drill in our individual drills.
Yeah, but and like Ben said earlier, doing all of those things with your muzzle pointed in a safe direction while moving with purpose, trying to go fast.
Yeah, and it's essentially you have an array of problems in front of you, and you have to get from A to B, and you have these problems in front of you, and you have to work through each of these problems, whether that's transitioning between targets, transitioning between rifle and pistol, transitioning from one point to another point, and then clearing malfunctions that was already mentioned, and then range, playing with different variations of range.
And doing it with your heart rate getting elevated. You spend 2 or 3 minutes or whatever it takes you to get through the course. The last aspect of it is shooting offhand, standing at 100 yards. And if your heart is pounding and you're breathing super heavy, that becomes more difficult.
Yeah, that forced exertion really makes a big difference. All right, let's take a look at one of the videos and provide some commentary as we watch it. Okay, so here's Neil's run.
Decidedly slower.
We can count the seconds. I think that you had less time overall, but for the one stuck point.
Okay, so
in the car, hands on the wheel, that means ready. Trunk, door, exit, acquire, reload.
Those are still quick shots on target.
Yeah, that was a good double tap.
Move.
It's an impressive 4 shots on target.
Then we gotta come up the hill, sling your rifle. Nick calls the target. I didn't know if he said white or right, but I just took a guess. Around the corner, tire time. One of them has a rim in it. It's decidedly heavier.
So what's with the tires?
The whole idea there is to make you do something physically exerting with both of your hands while your rifle is slung and be able to maintain muzzle control throughout that process.
This is really I think this is one of the most important parts of the Qual. It's definitely not the most sexy, right? But this is something that I would say 99% of all lone wolves in the nation at the moment are not doing this. And this part's huge because chances are it's not a tire, right? Chances are it's your buddy, and you might be picking him up out of the dirt. Where's your rifle? In his face, right? That's knowing where that's at, or who's to the left or right of you. And maybe you're amped up and you forgot to put that weapon on safe. Maybe we tried to train that out, but who knows? This point right here, moving these tires, making sure their weapons at least not going in the mud, right? At a bare minimum. So I think this is one of the most important parts of the Qual.
That touches on an aspect. We call it the Qual course because it is a bit of a filter for more complicated and dependent and trustworthy team exercises. It was originally designed as a test of basic safety and proficiency, and flagging your range officer that's following you or somebody that's observing is an automatic disqualification.
Yeah, we've done this with lots of different folks and with a lot of people present, and all the problems generally are coming up around the hog house, rounding the corner, dealing with the tires. That's where you've got the biggest opportunity to flag somebody.
And at any rate, say you're doing everything safe, right? And your muzzle's in the right direction when you're doing these tasks. It's a great opportunity from the training aspect to figure out what is up with your gear. Maybe you don't have an optimal sling. Maybe it's not at the optimal tension. Mm-hmm. What's this other gear on your kit doing while that weapon's slinging around? It's a great point to figure out how you want to run your kit and run it the most effective and optimally.
For sure. You can't do this with a long gun and a single point sling. It's going to be dragging in the dirt.
Right.
Yeah, there's a few times that I ran this with a 16-inch and really had to think about how I was slinging it up.
And guys have done it before and just put their rifle on top of the hog house.
I did that,
there,
yeah.
Move the tires, or grab it again.
So then you're back to the 50 yards.
This is where it really goes sideways for me. Nick calls out the left, center, right.
Left, center, right.
And so I have time to think ahead. On the move, I swim out of my sling, get ready for left-handed engagement, post up on the barricade, forget to turn my safety back off, pull the trigger, nothing happens. Safety, pull the trigger again, click, malfunction. So then I have left-handed malfunction clear. And in the process of clearing the malfunction, I thought that it was the last round in my magazine. It was not the last round in my magazine. So then I get back behind cover, do a reload, get back up, engage the target. But long story short, I was one round short of being able to finish the 6 hits at the barricade because I discharged a live round onto the ground there. And ultimately I finished 12 seconds behind my brother, and I'm not even bitter. Yeah, here's the...
I missed the live round in the dirt because I was running back to the camera.
So there's safety.
There's safety.
There's malfunction.
Clear.
There's clearing it.
Here's...
Then there's the frustration and the unnecessary mag change.
Reload. Now here's live round on the ground.
Could use a cover. Good cover, though. Your knees a little popped out to the side. You could correct that
Safety
pretty easily.
again.
The safety again.
Are you running an ambi safety?
Yes, but I haven't done this with an ambi safety before.
Yeah.
It's new. Up to the top. I think I missed one here too, which is stupid. That should never happen.
That was a quick miss, though. Quick miss is not as bad.
Yeah, you made up for it.
Oh, empty.
And one round short of finishing that
now,
stage.
I could be running back to 100 yards and
with
reloading.
a bolt lock open.
If you hadn't missed.
But had I not thrown a round on the ground also.
Right, you even could have had the miss.
So, point of order here, I have a variable power optic. I shoot the whole Qual drill I shoot at 1x on the drill, but my eye box is finicky prone, so when I'm running back, instead of cranking up my magnification, I would rather extend my stock to get a better eye box for the 100-yard shots. But
still a good run.
Time. 1:29:20.
Okay, so let's take a look at your run, Nick.
the record run, the fastest.
Yeah, this is the
all time.
fastest ever.
Yeah, not for long. It'll get better. It's surprising how complicated it is to get out of the car and pull the trunk. So you've got things to consider. what order do I draw my pistol, open the door, and pull the trunk latch? And then where is my pistol mag? That was the problem. I moved that from my rig to my belt, and there I had to clear a pistol malfunction.
Yeah,
Almost
that's
forgot to get your rifle out of the
Almost
trunk.
ran away.
the pistol
And I'm
malfunction is not part of the
waiting
drill.
for Neil to tell me. There we go.
Those are good hits. Not
I was
everybody gets
praying for
those.
So here we're in the dark zone, but we're lifting up tires, and we're doing that to practice manipulating heavy objects while your rifle is slung and maintaining muzzle awareness. And then we're moving on to the 3 smaller targets. Try to double tap those pretty quick, but I missed one, and then that just gets you out of rhythm. And I lucked out here when I'm transitioning. I noticed the bolt locked open, and so I changed mags while I was running there to the next barrier.
At that point in time, the range officer trailer will also call out an order for engagement. With
Yep.
the same 3 targets that you shot from the hog house, you're now moving and shooting them from a barricade at 50 yards instead of 25.
Yep, and so I'm on the left side of the barricade. I'm swimming out of my sling and shooting left-handed. I had to clear a malfunction from that side, so that's different, right? The hand that you manipulate the charging handle is different when it's in the other shoulder pocket.
Safety is also different.
Yep.
Do you have an MB safety?
No, I flick it down with my left index finger.
Okay.
Reload.
Yep, there's my second mandatory reload. Got my last hit, and I'm off to the 100-yard mark. There's a lot of time to be made up. There's seconds to be gained by really hustling across the open ground.
And aggressively
And
getting prone.
Getting set to make this shot quickly. Take one breath. I try to get both these shots in one held breath and then be done with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of time to be lost there. We've seen guys sit and shoot and shoot and shoot, and well, I've done that. You've done that, Neil, when we had optic problems. But
Yeah, if your gun's not zeroed, it's going to show up at 100 when it might not at 25 or 50.
Yeah, 100 yards on those are like 6-inch targets, so that's,
yeah,
the gun only shoots 2 MOA.
it's not a super easy shot to make, and it's certainly more challenging when you just sprinted 50 yards.
Or if you have no magnification. A 4 MOA dot at 100 yards is with no magnification is going to make it pretty tough to hit the 6-inch target.
Sarge did that once you ran it with your shorty and irons.
I did.
At dusk.
At dusk, and I believe for that particular run, I had to switch to my day aperture on the irons on the rear sight because it was just too much. I think shooting at the full silhouette at 100 is doable with the night aperture, but shooting at that, I think I had one miss at the small target, but it's definitely doable. Requires some finesse and some skill if you're going to do it with irons or no magnification.
So you may have heard in the video there, the time was 117 seconds, so just under 2 minutes, and your total was 27 total shots for the course. I think there's a mandatory 22 shots, so 5 misses.
Yep. And most of those were at a couple at the hog house, and those were all close range misses. I went 4 for 4 at 100, but was the barricade ones were those intermediate shots at 50 yards, not taking the fine enough sight picture. And that's another thing we did that we test. Like, you've got to adjust your expectation for sight picture as you go from being close in. You should be faster, and the farther away you get, you have to take a little more time to make good, clean shots.
I'm curious, you have a 3x flip to side magnifier. So at what point in the course do you go to magnification? Do you shoot magnification at 50?
I do, but it hosed me on that take on the left side. So I'm shooting left-handed. I'm not used to getting a good sight picture there. And with the magnifier up, it really narrows down your eye box. The location of your eye has to be pretty particular in order to get a good sight picture. I got one hit, then I had a malfunction, had to clear that, get back on the gun, finally get settled, and then I couldn't find the reticle. I'm hunting around. I would have probably been better off at just 50 yards to leave that magnifier off and take a little longer because I'm a little farther away and I have still small targets, but leave the magnifier out for the sake of eye box on the barricade.
Yeah, I think I've always gone no magnification at the barricade and then flop mine over. I've got a 6x magnifier, and that really helps a lot at 100 yards. I mean, 100 yards you ought to be able to do it with no magnification, but magnification always helps.
Yes, there's something in that was just said a couple minutes ago that we really haven't touched on a whole lot either or talked about. It kind of came to me, but where you're zeroing your weapon in at when you're shooting at 10, 15 yards and experiencing that sight over bore is going to make a difference. And knowing what your rifle's going to do at range is important to know as well. So like you have, you use a chevron, and so you use that to your advantage of how close you are, how far you are away. If you're just running a dot, that's something you need to know, or at least compensate. And that's something we really haven't touched on much at all. But that's also important because you're not going to always be shooting at 100-yard targets.
Yeah, it's not quite as crucial. So my optic has a fine dot, and it's a 100-yard zero. And for the 25 and the 50-yard shots, I can pretty much hold on it. But when we shoot cardboard for time, there's 2.5 or 3 inches of height over bore at 10 yards for a ready up.